Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous Gather Creator Spotlight. I'm super excited to be introducing Angela Wilson to you today. Angela and I have known each other for a little over a year now, and it's been a fantastic journey of understanding each other, and she has recently joined us here in the Gather community. I'm so excited to have you here. Angela, welcome to the community and welcome to your Spotlight.
Thanks so much, Tracy. I am so excited to be here. And yeah, I love being around with you, and I love the ladies in the community that I've already met, and I just can't wait to meet more.
Yay. Well, that's what's great is we always have something happening so that you can meet more people and expand your circle. So I would love for you to go ahead and share where you're at and what you do. You're making our community international. Thank you very much. But tell everyone where you're at, where you're from, and a little bit about how you started on this journey to becoming a life coach.
Well, it has been a journey. That is for sure. So to let you know where I am in the world, so I'm in southwestern Ontario, Canada, and I have not always lived in southwestern Ontario, but I've always been in Ontario, Canada. So this is quite familiar place for me, and I love it here. However, it's so fascinating. How did I get here? And what's my story? So I started out as, that sparkly little 3-year-old, and I knew no limits. I was just, yeehaw, let's go, let's have fun, let's do whatever. And I was a chatty little Kathy. I got told to be quiet an awful lot. I got told to sit down a lot. I got told to behave a lot. And so when you're hearing all of those things, all of a sudden you start going, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Oh, maybe, it like grinds you down.
Yeah,
Um,
so true.
and it's fascinating because that really takes on a role in your life. And it led me through my journey to where I am now. And so for that, then fast forward into school, get told all those things again. And interesting because when I was in high school and chose my profession, I chose my profession because I was told by my grade 13 accounting teacher that I couldn't do it.
Mm.
So I decided that I wanted to be a designated accountant because at that time I was 18 years old and I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I thought, well, surely I can add and subtract because that's
So,
where
and to clarify, a designated accountant in Canada is like a CPA in
yes.
the States, right?
Okay. Actually, my designation, we now call it a CPA in Canada as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So and he told me that I couldn't do it, that there was no way. And I was like, okay, well, obviously this is what I'm going to do now because, I've been told every single subject. It was like, you're not good at this, you're not good at this. And you kind of like get to that spot where it's like, okay, apparently I can't do anything.
That's so crazy. So tell me how having people tell you that you can't turned it around for you to decide that that's what you were going to do anyway.
Well, really, so this was where my 18-year-old brain was at that time. And it was basically, okay, look, so I'm told that I'm no good at art, which I heard countless other places. I was told I wasn't good at languages. Okay, fine. Including English, including being told that I couldn't write, and yet now I'm a published author. So thank you very much, people.
Yes.
And so with all those things, so when I was in the upper classes of high school, I was taking a lot of math because that was the only thing that I hadn't been told that I really sucked at. And to put it bluntly, that's what I was told. So I kind of did it. Okay, obviously I have to do something with math, and I didn't like the advanced math because I didn't see the application for them. So when I was told that I couldn't do accounting, I did that. Well, surely I can add and subtract. I have to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And so I went on that journey. The problem is, though, those stories, and this is what I talk to a lot of women about, is the stories that go on in the back of our head. Those stories came with me. Because by that point, I was in a well-practiced place of I am not as bright as everybody else. I am worth less than everybody else. And that the only way for people to like me and to love me is if I completely morph myself into what I think they want me to be, as opposed to being myself.
Mm,
And so, it's one of those things that as young girls and young women, it these things play so hard, and it's interesting because having conversations now in my life, I have people that knew me back then and they're like, I had no idea. And I'm like, of course you didn't, because I was just like, so busy running around trying to make you people like me that you couldn't
right. How would
see.
they possibly even know the actual you when you were just putting on the show?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so, and that, transitioned into my later life. And, I wrote all my exams and I became a CPA, and I was very proud of that. And then I went
As you
into,
should be.
I know,
That's
I
actually a
know, but it,
growing
but it,
situation.
but it was one of those things because I also had in my head the what I thought an accountant was supposed to be,
Okay.
all those stories of how accountants act,
Yeah.
and I was none of that. So then I go into big six accounting firm. I'm I don't play politics well. I like to be honest. I don't like to be don't like to play or like that's just not me. So I
Yeah.
didn't, it was one of those things where I was like, gee, this isn't the place for me.
Yeah. Like you could
And
do the work and you're, skilled and smart and all those things, but who wants to be around those boring people?
no, well, and what I
No
found was,
offense to any other accountants, but honestly, my favorite accountants are all super exciting, interesting people. They're not what you think the especially corporate big six accounting, right? It's different when you're working
exactly,
for yourself too, but like
yeah.
the pocket protector, white shirt, white
Yeah.
guy, for lack of a better description, it's certainly not
Because
you.
no, and honestly, when I started into the big six, that's kind of the demographic.
That's yep.
And you had to pay your dues, and it was like, yeah, no.
Ugh. Oh, I hate
So,
that phrase so much.
oh, I know, and it's just so not me. So I transitioned out of the big accounting firms fairly quickly, went into a small one, which was out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh no.
And yeah, and it was just, yeah, it was so funny. And I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. And so what I realized was public accounting was not for me.
Mm,
And so stepped out into industry. I was in industry for many years and just went, this is not like I want more out of life. And so what I found was, if you're coming home every night, and this is one of those things that I tell the women that I work with
yeah.
regards, because I work now with women with regards to money and really having them step out to live their life of unlimited possibilities and just really live that life that they deserve, because we can all live that. We put the limits on ourselves not to.
Hmm.
So at
Hmm.
this point, I always say, so what I say I really do in the world now is I'm a champion for women's courage. I'm an international author, an international speaker, and I'm a financial healer, because that's what I
Healer.
do, because it's about healing our mindset. It's about healing. It's generational healing as well, because these are the stories that have carried on through generations after generations. And also on top of that, I firmly believe that we should be living by our own story, nobody else's.
Hmm.
So let's step into that and let's really dive into that place
Yeah.
and start living our best life. That's
Yeah. Because what are we waiting for, right?
exactly. If you're not living
Ugh.
now, when are you gonna live? Like, when
Yeah.
are you going to do that? So yeah, so it's fascinating. So what I did was, I jumped out of even
The
the
frying pan and the fire.
corporate world. Yeah, so out of there, I went into industry, and then just went, oh my gosh, this is not me. Let's reinvent me again. And I started my own accounting practice at that time. And over the years, I narrowed my accounting practice to be working with not-for-profit in the violence against women and children and youth sectors, which is very,
Awesome.
yeah, very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And was in that sector for a long time. And what I found was I went through a period in my own life where I was in a very unhealthy long-term relationship, and it came to an end. And I had to reinvent myself because I did not know who I was at all.
Mm,
I had lost myself because all of those stories, plus everything that was happening at that time
mhm.
throughout those years, added up, and I didn't think I was worth anything. And yet here I was. Here I had the educational background to be able to do what I was doing, and yet I was so worried every time I went into a client's office. I was so worried that today was the day that they were going to find out I really wasn't that smart.
Mm,
So that's a horrible way to live.
yeah.
Absolutely horrible way to live. So when that all happened in my life, and I now was like, okay, here I am. I have to figure out who Angela is. And so the spark of where I am now really came out of that because I remember I used to treat myself once a week to a latte at Starbucks. So this one time, shortly after everything happened, I went to go through the drive-through, and for some reason, instead of going into the drive-through, I pulled into a parking spot, and I sat there and cried because I didn't know if I could afford that latte.
Mm,
And I thought, here I am, I have my own business, I have means. What the heck? And that's when the seed of, I don't want other women to have to go through this.
mhm.
I want to figure out how I can be there to serve them, to pay my life forward so they don't have to get to that point to move
Yeah.
to a different point,
Do you
right?
think that women don't notice how their old stories are repeating until like something really bad happens? Like a
I,
breakup or, an
I think
actual like financial emergency, like a bankruptcy or,
I
like
think that plays out a
where
lot.
is someone going to finally say, I'm ready to talk to Angela? Like when does that light turn on for them?
I think that light turns on when the small voice and it's not a small voice, but we make it small. When the
Mm.
small voice inside, as opposed to the really loud voice that's in here, that's yelling
Yes.
at you, all the negative,
Mm.
I call that inner chatter.
Yeah.
When that inner chatter is so loud, and this is really, and what I call your heart voice, which is your
Mm.
intuition, your guide, all of that stuff. When you squash that down so that you're not listening to it, that's when you're out of sync. And when you start having there's more to life. I've got to make a change. I really want something different. Oh, there has to be something different. That's when we get to, because now we're starting to look for
Yeah.
solutions.
Even if the background story is, but there's no way.
Yes.
If the thought is starting to come, now you're turning a corner and
Yeah.
are ready to make some changes.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things that I had playing, I used to always say, and I would never say it out loud in the past, because if I said it out loud, that was not a good situation. But I would think, oh, there's got to be more to life. There has to be more to me than this.
Mm.
And there is. There truly is. It's when we decide that we want to step up and be all of who we are supposed to be.
Yeah. I often tell people that, when I decided that I wanted to create Gather, I often say that the turning point was really when I finally said it out loud to someone else. And, when you're teaching, so to be able to participate in something that you're teaching, even if someone like, if you have the thought and you just go, like, you don't have to say anything you're not comfortable with saying, but you can listen. Then all of a sudden you're ready to say something out loud to another person.
Absolutely.
And that's like that light bulb, for me, that's what happened in deciding to do something I'd never done before and create that space. I can totally see that as being like, because we're all taught as women, as young women, to be smaller than we are. And, hopefully this is starting to change just a little, but that patriarchy is planetary.
Mhm.
So, different places are adjusting at different speeds. And even within the States, definitely there's the whole gamut from 0 to 100. But once we're ready to say, like, to declare, even if it's a whisper, that I'm ready to try something new. And to do that when you're talking about your money, so let's talk about money
Mhm.
as the subject, as opposed to like life as the subject, because while money is part of your life and your life can't survive without money, there's so much stigma around talking about money publicly. So let's talk a little bit about, how do you help your clients get through to being able to talk about money freely?
Well, it's fascinating that you bring that up, Tracy, because it's really, I always say, whatever's playing out in your money, it's playing out in your life.
Mm.
So if you're doing this, I don't want to look at my money, I don't want to talk about my money, just it needs to go away. You're playing small.
Mhm.
You're also playing small somewhere else in your life as well. So and money is really, money wants to be part of the conversation, and when we make it not part of the conversation, then we're pushing it away and we're not dealing with it, and it ends up having power over us because
Mm.
we've given it power. Money's it's just energy. It's just an exchange. It's a
It's just
reciprocal
currency.
change. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
yet we as societies have made it this huge thing, and we have all these stories. So one of those stories that I used to hear when I was growing up was that, first of all, you didn't talk about money. Second of all, you never ever owed any money to anyone,
Mm.
and if you couldn't afford it, you did without it. It was that simple.
Interesting.
That
That's
simple.
very un-American, right?
But
The
I'm Canadian.
opposite is common down here, right? Right. But that's interesting, right? And I know you work with women wherever they are,
Yeah.
but that's interesting because a lot of the public story anyway of our kind of thoughts of money as Americans is use credit, right? Get what you need, it'll be fine. Just, you got to have it because Americans need more,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's interesting. And that's going to be family too, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that came out of my family.
Yeah.
And
And
that was
generational, right? As we get past
absolutely
the Great Depression and war times and all of those things, change all of those
yeah. And
perspectives.
exactly. And it really does depend, because what we typically learn about money, because the average person isn't taught a lot about money.
Right.
I
Not
was.
taught anything, we just absorb.
That's it. Exactly. And yet we shame ourselves for not having it handled and not being able to handle it well in some cases,
Yep.
or we're we're handling it and we have lots, but oh my gosh, we don't want anybody to know that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
that, it has so many different edges to it. And so it's interesting. So with that, so hearing that when I was growing up, so fast forward to I'm at a university. You guys call it college, we call it university. I'm at a
Yeah.
university. I'm headed off to, get my designation at that point. I'm at a university with student debt because that's the only way I could go.
Right.
Okay, fine. So I've got
Truth
student
for
debt.
many,
Oh,
many people. Yep.
yeah. But you're not supposed to owe anybody. And I have student debt. And then the second one is not too long after that. Oh, now I have a mortgage. You're not supposed to owe anyone. Even though when I was at that phase, it was a very different time from when my parents were that age.
Yeah. Well,
right?
and if you learn it young, you don't really understand the nuances of, well, except a mortgage is okay. And, like the exceptions to rules that you now think are gospel.
Exactly. Coming out of the gate, I felt like I wasn't measuring up in that regard either.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, oh my gosh,
You're an
what is
accountant and
wrong
you
with
have a
me?
mortgage and you owe people money.
I know. It's like
Boo.
just one of those things, right? Because it wasn't something that was in that realm for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was always, I always say I had the educational background to be able to have this handled. I didn't have the mindset to be able to handle it either, because then, fast forward a few more years and it's that, well, you're the accountant, you're supposed to have this handled. And I'm like, I have it handled, kind of. Like I could go into my clients' offices and I had everything buttoned down. I would say,
Yep.
wrapped up with a pretty big bow. But at home, because it's very different,
Yep.
I always say
The
it's
chatter
all
is a whole different world when it's your home
exactly.
personal life. Yep.
Yeah, because the wants come in as well as the needs come in, and it's balancing that, and sometimes depending on the situation, that's very difficult to balance.
Yeah.
Very
Well, and
difficult.
you mentioned that it was not a healthy relationship. So then there's this relationship is related to conversations happening or not happening, and
Yeah,
secrets that you're holding that you don't want to be holding, but now you are because you're afraid, or ugh.
yeah. And add into that I felt like I was about maybe this big, right?
Yeah.
So and so in that part of my life, it was like, okay, you didn't talk about money at all. And as I said, the odd conversation was the thing that I didn't have it handled, and the lack of it.
Yeah.
And so you're always in that like treadmill of gotta get it done, gotta get it, And
Yep.
but that's not my story today. And this is why why I go this direction, is because so that ladies can see there's a different way. So now I have a completely different story. I believe absolutely that there is enough in the world for everyone, because there is. And we have to take that in, and we have to
Mhm.
really sit with that. And then the other part of this is I really, money is completely in my conversation all the time. So my husband and I, we talk about money all the time. And actually, I don't take care of the day to day anymore. He does. And we chat about, okay, this is what's going on now. This is what's going on. Okay, well, what do you want here? What do you want there? And we have all those conversations. And so I firmly believe, and I really encourage the women that I work with, is money needs to be part of your conversation. Because when it becomes part of your conversation, now you're giving it purpose. Now you're giving it clarity. Now it has somewhere to go, as opposed to
Yeah.
just being like, I always say, what does it mean when you say, I want enough money to be comfortable? What does that mean?
Right.
It's like, no, I want XYZ. I want this dream. I talk a lot about dreams with the women that I work with, because
Mhm.
I believe that dreams, I would say money wants to be part of the conversation, and dreams love to be part of the conversation, because they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because if your dreams aren't living in your money, they're not happening either.
Yep. Yeah. I love
So
that. I love it.
yeah.
So good. So this recording, this conversation is going to be lasting a long time. So I'm not
Mhm.
going to ask you like what's coming up next or whatever. But just share a little bit about how you're with clients, like people can be on the lookout for. I know you have workshops. I attended your workshop not long ago. It was so great. Like I know you have group programs, because I'm planning to do one coming up later this spring, because I'm really enjoying the way that you approach the mindset around money. I think it's really supportive and really important. So other than the workshops and the group programs that I just mentioned, is there anything else that you want people to know about how you work with clients? Do you do one-on-one work? Do you like, what can they be on the lookout for?
So yeah, as you said, the workshops and the 6-week program that I have. I also work with women. I have a 6-month program and a year-long program, and those are one-on-one, because we're diving really deep
Deep in, yeah.
into
Detailed, right? With
your
your actual numbers.
your actual numbers, but a lot of it too is, you know, the mindset. And it's like looking at, it's not just looking at, you know, oh, you shouldn't spend that. That's not me. I don't
Right.
do that kind of thing at all, because what I look at it is why? What
Yeah.
what is it that led you to want to do that?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
that's
like
what
you
we want to
said,
get at.
like, did you, because I want to be comfortable. Well, what does that actually mean?
Exactly. And lots of times we spend without being conscious of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, I don't know about you, Tracy, but I know it. In the past, I've done that, gone out and bought that, you know, that new purse or the new shoes, and then gone, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I, you know, like it's that kind of, you know. And so what I also find is when I'm working with women and I'm getting them to go after their dreams, because that's a big area. When we're going after our dreams, all of a sudden now we start shifting our priorities on what we want to spend and how
Mhm.
we want to spend it.
Yeah.
And I've seen a number of ladies where that transformation is just, it's mind boggling, because all
Yeah.
of a sudden they're like, I'm not doing that because I want to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Where, you know, months before when I was talking to them, they couldn't have told you how they spent anything. They didn't
Yeah.
even know how much they were spending.
Well,
So
like,
it's
so what's coming to my mind is like, oh, if I want to, you know, I have in my mind a trip to Italy in my future someday. I don't know if it's this summer, next summer, when it's going to be, but it's not too long because I don't want to be old by the time I get there. I'm not old.
I was going to say,
So,
honey,
you
that's a
know,
long time off because you're not old. Because I
but
know
you
you're
know,
not as
I
old
mean,
as I am.
but years fly by, don't they? Right. All of
Absolutely,
a
they do.
sudden it's, you know, especially with the pandemic, right? All of a sudden it's 3 years later. Wait, what happened? So, you know, but to have a picture of where you're going. I mean, I know that you're talking about dreams and goals. That's what I'm teaching people too. You're just doing, you know, we do it in different ways. The idea of knowing where you're going so that, oh, if I'm really looking forward to this trip and I want to be able to go here, here, and here, now I've got, like you say, a purpose for my money and motivation to earn it, to not spend it frivolously, and or to have a better conversation with myself about what I'm doing between now and
Absolutely. And the other thing that happens is when you have that and you put it into your plan,
then. Mhm.
I call them dream maps because I honestly don't like the word plan. I really dislike the word budget because that has icky connotations for everyone as far as I'm concerned. So I call it a dream map. That's exactly what I call it, because I figure, you know, we're going after our dreams. So let's get them in there, have all of our priorities. And what it also does is it creates excitement in you.
Mhm.
Because now, you know, ladies will say to me, well, what about savings? And I'm always like, I am all for saving. But here's the thing, if you're saving out of fear, every time you put $1 away, you're going to be going, there's like something inside you that just like
Yeah.
kind of cringes, right? But if you're saving to be able to take that trip to Italy,
Right.
now every dollar you put away, you're like, I'm $1 closer.
Right.
You know, and you have that excitement, and that excitement pulls you forward, which makes you take another step and another step. And sooner really than what you think, you're off to
You're
Italy.
ready to go. Yeah.
It really comes down to that.
Yes. That's so exciting. And, you know, I mean, that's the thing, is that to be able to shift your thoughts from, you know, like saving, I guess most people say they're saving for retirement, but like, what even is that? Right? What is retirement? Not working? I'm saving to not work. Well, that's not really, and plus we know that the brain doesn't like the negatives, right? So I'm saving to work is what you're telling yourself. Well, okay, have fun, because you're going to be working a long time at this rate because it doesn't feel good.
Well, yeah. So, and when you're saying that, what you're doing is you're also saying, okay, I'm working extra hard now, and I'm saving extra now, so that I can replace all the income I won't have later.
Right. There's so much negative in all of that. Ugh.
So instead,
yeah.
if you do, I don't use the word retirement. I don't like that.
Well, I mean, but that's the vernacular,
I know
like
that
in the
that's what's
corporate
out there.
world, right?
It's like, what do you want to do in that next phase? What do you want to do in that next phase? So, and everybody, here's the thing, it's going to be different for every single person because we're all unique individuals.
Yep.
So for me, it's like I want to be living in Spain and Italy and England and Portugal for like a couple of months at a time in different places. Like that's what I want to do.
Yep.
So it's that, okay, what are the steps to get there?
Yeah.
How can I make this happen? And the other part that, and I deal with women on this a lot because I firmly believe this, it's not just about having the dream, it's about making the dream as real to you as you can right now.
Yeah.
And that means fully visualizing it from smell, feeling, sight, hearing, all of it.
Yeah.
And we
love
go
it.
through exercises to do that.
So good. So good. Well, I can't wait. I know I have the program that I'm available for on my calendar already. So I'm excited for
Yay.
that. I know, yay. And I'm so excited and I'm so thrilled that I get to share all of this goodness with our community and with the world on your behalf. So I appreciate you being here so that I get to now say, Angela is the one you want to talk to because she is really shifting my mindset. And I know she can help you too. So that's what I'm going to be telling people. And this video here is a tool for people to get to know you. So I'm thrilled that we were able to take the time today. Thank you so much for your time and your awesomeness and your positive energy and how you're helping women all across the world.
Thanks so much, Tracy. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity and to be able to speak to all the ladies in the community and everybody else that gets to listen to this, wherever you are in the world.
Wherever you are.
And absolutely. It makes my heart sing to be able to do this and to have these conversations. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll see you again soon. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks.